stream yet. Maybe we need to get an update from her, what the status is on that.
Okay.
Very good. I wouldn't mind having a do-over anyway. I feel quite rusty. Yeah, thanks, Joel.
Yeah, you're good. You're good to go now, KP for MD.
All right. Good evening. This is Wilson, November 6 Echo Mike Fox, your net control operator for the River City Arc Slow Scan TV net. This net serves for training and practice in image transmission modes and meets Wednesday nights at 9 o'clock p.m. on the N6NA repeater on 441.30 megahertz. River City Arc's members and all licensed amateur radio operators are welcome to participate. If you wish to join the net or need to make a call at any time, please announce your call sign between transmissions and net control will acknowledge you. If an emergency should arise and you need the repeater, please contact the net control by saying break break. A double break signifies emergency traffic. The net will stand by for you until the emergency is terminated or the traffic is moved to another frequency. Stations who wish to check in are asked to respond with their full call sign using the recognized ITU phonetic alphabet and their name. I will recognize each station before continuing. Any station who wishes to check into the net, please come now.
Good evening, Alpha India 6 Delta Go.
Kilo Lima 7 Hotel Quebec Romeo.
This is Kilo Papa 4 Mike Delta. Oops.
All right, well, I want to recognize the three check-ins so far. AI6DG, Joel, KL7HQR, Neil, and KP Carol. I want to thank you all for checking in, and a special thanks going out to Neil. As I understand, he he held the fort down while I've been away for the last 11 or 12 weeks. So good to hear everybody's voice. Do we have any other check-ins?
Kilo 3 Romeo Echo Hotel. This is Anders.
Anders from Folsom, I think. Kilo 3 Romeo Echo Hotel. Did I get that right?
That is correct.
All right, thanks for checking in. Any other check-ins? All right, well, be fun. Well, what I'm going to do, since I'm not ready to transmit the picture, but while I'm awaiting others to send theirs, get theirs across the link, I'll prepare mine. So, so far I've got 4 check-ins plus mine. Do we have any others? All right, what I'd like to do is I'll start at the top of the list. We'll start off with Joel, AI6 Delta Golf, and we'll ask him to, let's see, go ahead and send a photo. Actually, Joel, if you'll just give me a second here, I want to get my SSTV up. But if you'll get ready to send, you'll be up first. Sound good?
Roger, roger, and while we're here, if I could get a confirmation, there's a tone.
Yep, tone copied in 6EMF here. You're doing great. So I think I'm ready. Go ahead and indicate your transmit mode, and I'll be listening for you.
PD 120.
Well, all right, Joel, N6NA here. I was able to copy your photo, and I need to do a slant correction. I am a little rusty, so while I work on those things, I will kind of step down the list for to check with others to see if they were able to copy. But I did copy a really good image, and it looks good. So I'll stop there and turn it over to Neil, KL7HQR. Were you able to copy?
Roger, KL7HQR. Yes, a good copy here. A few artifacts, but overall very clear. Looks a picture a little bit dark. I see that this appears to be either a cruise ship or a picture of Noah's Ark. But the one thing that I don't understand is what is this doing in the Yosemite National Park? I'm trying to understand. But it's a Dawn Princess. It's a Sun-class Princess, Sun-class ship from the Princess Cruises, and I've been lucky enough to cruise on this particular ship. I think about 3 or 4 times, and so I'm very curious to know where this is. I am trying to. There's a gentleman with there's a musical group there. There's a guitar and a banjo. So I assume it is in the Caribbean someplace. So, but the picture came in very, very well. Back to Net.
Very, very good. I could pretty much second almost everything Neil had to add on this photo. The question is it in Yellowstone, or is it Yosemite, or is it Yosemite? N6NA. Well, thanks for that, Neil. I was going to go over to YouTube and check and see what Carol can see, but before I do that, let me just go ahead and ask her to let us know how she has been able to copy so far. I'll check with KP4MD again in just a moment. How about Anders, K3REH and 6EMF?
K3REH here, yeah, good copy. I have definitely the Dawn Princess picture of that cruise ship on my screen here. A few little sparkles spread evenly across the whole image, but a very clear image, and looks like the lighting is a little yellowish, so it looks like maybe late evening in the lighting here. But yeah, it's a good copy, and looking forward to hear the story behind this picture. K3REH, back to Net.
Well, all right. Let me thank you for that, Anders. Very good. Let's see. I'm going to check this photograph before I turn it over to Joel, and before I do that, I'll check with Carol. I can't tell whether Joel or anybody recognizes in the photograph, but let me see if there's anything peculiar in this thing. I can't really see anything that I would question. But how about Carol, KP4MD? Are you back with us? All right, Carol takes a pass. Very good. All right, I'll turn it over to Joel, AI6DG, for a make it fun. I miss hearing from you, so make this noteworthy for us. Thank you. N6NA.
Well, yes, this is from a cruise I went on. I've only been on one cruise, and this was it, and it was like a 10-day, 7-port cruise. I went with a friend and his family. We all went together in a couple of cabins, and this was, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago. This is a long time ago, but I'd like to go again sometime on a cruise. It was a good trip, and what was nice about it is you were living in luxury, and every day you were someplace else, and you could go see new things in a few days at sea to catch up. wasn't terribly expensive, but it wasn't cheap. I have no idea what it's like now. I imagine since then all kinds of things have changed in terms of cleanliness protocol and security policies and everything. Thinking back, I'm trying to remember what port this is, and I'm pretty sure this was Morro Bay, Jamaica. Some of the ports, not all the ports are you at a pier like this. Some of them you actually ride little ferry boats in and get on and off both the ship and wherever you're going. I don't think it's St. Martin, because at St. Martin we were directly across the pier, Disney ship. I don't think it was Cozumel, because this doesn't look like Cozumel to me. Actually, I think this is Jamaica, and I think this was what greeted us as we returned to the ship at the end of the day. And it was as I remember, a Jamaican band playing Jamaican music, which makes sense. It would be Morro Bay, Jamaica. You'll notice there's two gangways coming out of the ship. I think the upper one was to exit on, and the lower one was to re-enter the ship on. And getting on and off, you had to check in. I think we just had like either a card of some kind or maybe a wristband of some kind, because they didn't want to keep track of who was getting on and off the ship, obviously. A couple of things that strike me about this. Let it drop. Just how large the ship is, and especially considering that nowadays this is a small ship. But count the rows of windows. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, at least 9 decks up, and there's probably another deck or two above what you can see. So these things are large, and this is a small ship. And then you've got the flying deck thing kind of sticking out from the side of the ship in the upper right. Not flying deck, flying. Well, anyway, that's where that's the operation deck or space where the thing you turn to steer the ship and so forth. That's where, in other words, where whoever's piloting the ship can operate it, and when they're coming into a port, they can walk out onto this and actually look straight down and see how close to that pier that they're trying to approach but not hit actually is. And I think the promenade deck, the orange thing you can kind of see in the middle, there's a couple of orange things. Those are lifeboats. And I think that's the promenade deck where you can actually walk all the way around in a circle around the deck if you want to do your 2-mile run or whatever. And I think they actually somewhere had a sign that told you how much each round the ship was, what the distance was. And end of the day, so I think that's why the color balance seems off. I don't think the color balance is off. I think it was just a nice golden sunset. Back to net, A6DG. Oh, and I wonder if this ship is still around. I mean, it was old then, and so many of these old ships have been scrapped by now, especially in the last year. Back to net.
Yep, it's probably Barnacle City now, isn't it?
L7HQI.
Right, go ahead, Neil.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I know the ship very well, because Zoe Travel here in Sacramento used to have a representative aboard the Dawn, and one of the main chefs was her husband. So they traveled. They had buses going down to San Francisco all the time. But anyway, it's one of the 3 ships on the Sun class, the Sun Princess, the Dawn Princess, and the Sea Princess. The only one left in the fleet right now is the Sun Princess. If I remember correctly, the Dawn Princess, around 2015, was transferred to Australian P&O, and it now it changed name. I believe it's called the Pacific Explorer right now. And so that's basically it. And like Joe said, this is a fairly small ship as compared to what we have today. Princess doesn't have huge ships like Royal Caribbean, but even it's one of the smallest ones. Anyway, back to net, KL7HQ.
All right, getting back to wonderful times, wonderful stories. Any comments, Anders?
I am not super familiar with being on these big ships. I grew up right in Stockholm, where things like this came all the way into the city center and actually parked right just a few hundred yards from where I lived. So I have seen them from the outside many times. I have never been on one. Back to Net.
All right, that's quite interesting. I've seen one ship, seen them all. That's great. Yeah, so any other thoughts before I turn it over to the next activity? All right, well, I'm still working on my photo and would love to go next, but I'm still not ready. I have a photo, but I'm trying to load it into SSTV now. Neil, how about you? Would you like to try your hand at transmitting now?
Sure, no problem. A completely different subject, but BD 120.
All right, Neil. I was able to copy a photo. As I can see, I can't tell whether the main theme here is the wonderful smile on the woman's face, who appears to be handling what I think is a billion-dollar avocado that was probably genetically modified. Don't they call those California gold or something like that? But anyway, it was a pretty good quality photo, good color balance, good color balance and everything, and pretty decent quality with a few pixel pops here and there. But I see a close-up shot of what appears to be an avocado inset in the upper right-hand corner. So I hope I nailed it, and let's see what the rest of us might have. First, I'll jump and see if Carol is KP4MD. Is she back online with good audio now?
Yeah, this is KP4MD. I finally got the right microphone connected. Yeah, beautiful. That's a very nice, smooth avocado. These are the kinds of avocados that I see growing in the Caribbean, not the wrinkly skin kind that you find around here. So I'm going to take a guess that This picture was taken not here in California or on the Pacific side. I think it's probably something from the Caribbean area. But really nice looking fruit there. Back to net. This is KP for MD.
Yeah, this is actually, that's great. It's great update and assessment, Carol. Thank you. And I just want to say it's my first time getting the YouTube channel up while we're doing the net, and it looks great. So kudos to you, Carol, KP4MD, N6EMF here. Thank you. All right, let me go back up near the top of the list to get back in order. How about Joel?
So we've got an insert in the lower left and another insert in the upper right. The lower left are obviously avocados. And if I hadn't been behind Carol, I would have sworn that thing in the upper right was not an avocado because it doesn't have the wrinkly skin. I didn't know there was any other type of avocado. I would have said mango or something. Although it makes sense looking at the picture that it's avocado because behind those two inserts you have a lady smiling quite broadly, ear to ear, sitting at probably a dinner table with a monstrously large avocado in front of her that she's cutting up in quarters, and the seed has been removed. So, wow, that makes a lot of guacamole, just a couple of those compared to the other kind. And then in the background of her, there's sitting in a bowl by the table behind her. It looks like there's some other fruit, maybe more avocados, or because some of them look green, but there's a couple of orange ones. There's such a thing as orange avocados. So, actually, what is she doing? She cut it in quarters, but I can't really tell what she's doing with it. She can eat it as is or make guacamole. I don't know. Back to net, AI6DG.
All right, well, good stuff. I do. My wife and I watched a documentary about avocados. It had to be either on Hulu, on Amazon, or Netflix, because those are the three things we have streaming services. But one of those three services has a documentary on Mexican avocados, and I don't know if it's, I'm sorry, not Mexican, but somewhere in South America, if I'm not mistaken. And it's just amazing what's going on with avocados down there. In some places, it has taken over the other cartels. They have avocado cartels. Can you believe that? But anyway, yeah, thanks for that, Joel. And great photo, Neil. I'll turn it over to Anders, K3REH. Were you able to copy?
I have a close to perfect copy, almost no interference at all, and I certainly see a lot of avocados. It looks to me like there is a size competition here. She's comparing her hand all halfway up the arm there with the quarter-cut avocado that is on the plate in front of her. So I think there's some kind of size competition here. The plate in the background there looks more normal. And I'm also interested to know if there's avocado in any other color than green. Back to net.
I haven't heard of an avocado other than green, but I think some of the growers here in California call them California Gold, I think, because they're so valuable, or certain varietals are valuable in terms of the market value. So interesting stuff. Thank you for that, Anders. I'll turn it over to Neil. And how about it, Neil? Tell us all about this photo. Thank you.
Scale 7-inch guard to the net. Yeah, well, you guys are absolutely on the money as far as avocado. First of all, to clear, the fruits on the back are not avocados. I think there are different types of mangoes and a few other fruits. And no, I have not seen any avocados except for the green. And I appreciate Carol making a mention that she has seen that in the Caribbean, Puerto Rico area, because this is the standard avocado that I grew up with. That size and that's smooth and completely different color. And yeah, there is a competition for the size here. You found this lower left inset is a California avocado, and you can see there's two of them in each hand. And compared to what we had, this is my wife, and we went to Brazil a few years ago, and our relatives for breakfast, they had all kinds of fruits, and they gave her this avocado, and she just couldn't believe the size of it. So that is the picture was taken just to show the size, but that's the standard avocado. And one thing that's interesting is that until I came to the United States in 1965, I had never heard of having avocado with salt or in salads. Let me drop. And because Mexico, of course, they have the guacamole that we have here is very common. But in Brazil, ever since I knew it, avocado is used for dessert. You scoop put it in several ways. You can scoop it, put it in a plate, put some sugar, and smash with a fork, and it becomes kind of a little pudding, and you eat that way. You can do that right on the skin, and walk around eating it. Or more common, you scoop it into a blender, put just a dash of milk and a little bit of lemon juice so it won't turn brown, and then you put it in the blender, and it becomes a very, very fine, like pudding-like. So I had to get used to avocados with salt. But that is the story of that picture. Back to Nick.
Yeah, thank you for the additional info, Neil. My wife, she loves avocado and condensed milk. I don't know if you can imagine how that gets paired together. I don't know how common that is, but she loves that combination. I haven't seen her pair those in a while, but I'll check in with her on that. All right. Well, any other comments on this wonderful avocado photograph? I like it. All right. I'd like to see if anybody wants to volunteer to transmit the next photo. If not, I'll just go on down the list. All right. So I'll be next. How's that? I'll be the volunteer. I'll try to transmit PD 120. All right, this is N6NA Net Control. I just completed transmission of my photo, and we'll just start at the top of the list with Joel, AI6DG. Were you able to copy?
Well, I obviously have to do a sync adjustment on my system because this is not both this and the last one. I got tears and slants. The last one was completely scrambled up. This one's not too bad, but I'm still looking at the YouTube instead. So maybe sometime we could spend some time in one of these nets and go and just do the sync process and actually sync everyone. If not, I'll have to do it myself and go research it. Okay, so we got a picture of half kind of centered that's looking at just over the top, between the steering wheel, the windshield of a car, and the instrument cluster below it. And looks like we're going a moderate speed, not terribly fast. I'm trying to let's zoom this in and see if I can. Yeah, I can't read the speed. The big center dial is the tachometer, not the speed, I think. And on the left of that, we've got two smaller pictures. The upper quarter of it is looking at a Porsche of some model. I'm out of touch with what Porsche models look like now, but it's dark colored, maybe black, nice and shiny. And on the lower 2/3 or 3/4 of that, we're looking at a car that looks like it's partially disassembled, smoke coming out of maybe the exhaust pipe, the trunk lid open, the rear bumper off. I'm not quite sure what all I'm looking at. Is it maybe jacked up a little bit? I mean, in terms of height, not of messed up. Why is it smoking? Is it supposed to be smoking? Anyway, good story. I'm sure it's going to be. Back to net, AI6DG.
All right, Joel. Well, thanks for that comments on the photo. And I think I saw where Carol had to correct slant, and I'm not sure if it did it automatically, but I could see on YouTube where it corrected it at some point in the middle of the transmission. But if you click on the sync tab of your app and then click on the happy face, I think that will do it, if I'm not mistaken. Do you want to try that? While Joel is doing that, I'll just go on down the list and check with KL7HQR. Have you been able to copy the photo, Neil?
Yes, a very good copy. There was one interference bar just below the division between the top and left and bottom picture on the left, but it did not interfere with the picture at all. And congratulations, I would assume that this is your Porsche, that you have taken the time to complete your job. I don't know if you know, but Bob, N6BGQ, has been sending all kinds of pictures of cars and wishing you were here. And I think we're going to invite him to send all the pictures again, because I think he got all kinds of things hoping that you would be able to comment on it. So maybe next time. And okay, so good copy on the picture, no problem at all. And congratulations if it is your car that you finished the job. Back to that.
Thank you very much, Neil. I appreciate that, and I'll turn it over to Carol. I can see that she was able to copy, and KP4MD has a good copy on display on YouTube, so no question about that. But any comments or questions, go right ahead, Carol.
Yeah, this is KP4MD. First of all, I'd like to put a shout out to Butch in North Carolina, KF4HR, who is following us on YouTube. And that bar, like 1/3 of the way down the screen, that was the exact same time that the repeater gave its CWID. And all I can say is it looks like a nice sporty looking car, except that picture in the lower left-hand corner There's a lot of smoke. I don't think that would pass smog. And it looks like part of the fender is missing. I don't know what's going on there. Maybe some work being done. Some work being done on the car. That's all I can say. It looks pretty smoky. So back to Net. This is KP for MD.
All right. Well, thank you, Carol. Yeah. So let me turn it right over to Anders. K3REH. Anders, did you were you able to copy this photo?
I do have a good copy. I do have that bar with the repeater ID a third way down the image, and I can see the, I assume it's a Porsche 911 Carrera. The bottom left picture reveals that it's not an electric car, and I'm kind of disappointed with the speed that thing is going for all that smoke. But yeah, it's a good copy. Few sparkles here and there, and that line in the middle, but definitely a clear image. K3RH, back to Net.
I do appreciate the comments, Anders. Thank you. So let me go ahead and say yes. After 10 months, my 1999 Porsche Carrera is now back on the road. It has successfully passed the California smog test, and I'm back in business. So it was a long journey. I basically removed the engine last summer of 2020 to handle some maintenance items, and got deeper and deeper into some replacement parts, and just lots of things happened during that time frame, but I was able to get it wrapped up a couple of weeks ago. Long story short to this is that while the engine was out, it was on an engine stand that is rotisserie style, so you can rotate the engine to different angles, so you can access different surfaces to work on it more ergonomically. So I had the engine tilted kind of 90 degrees, which meant that all the motor oil drained down onto bank number 2, cylinder bank number 2, which what it means is some residual motor oil flooded out the cylinder banks, and I could have dealt with that if I would have realized that was what happened. But when I started the engine up, this was the first fire. This was the first day that the car ran after 10 months drop, and I had to burn off this residual motor oil that accumulated in the cylinder banks. So that went on for about 3 or 4 minutes, and after that it was cleared out. But what that is showing us is that the car was just proven to be running, and the engine was just installed. At that moment, I had just filled it up with oil and coolant, and got all the fluid lines connected, like power steering and the throttle cable and this and that. And now the bumper has to go back on, but that was just to show kind of a rebirth of the car. And the top photo is just, you know, me having backed in at the gas station after filling up, and took a photo of the car, just kind of proud that it was out. And then that photo to the right is heading east on Winding Way in Fair Oaks, California, heading east, leaving Sunrise, heading over to Hazel. It's one afternoon, probably 1 or 2 days after the engine was reinstalled, and just taking it for a test drive. That was, can't tell you, that was probably 4th gear, 2,000 RPMs, around 35 miles per hour, or 40 miles per hour at the most. So yeah, thanks for the comments and the congratulatory remarks. I am so happy that project is behind me, and I can get on to other things now. N6EMF.
Comment KL7HQR. I'm glad that you clarified, because I thought that the top picture was before and the bottom left picture was the after. So glad that it's the other way around.
Yeah, thanks for that, Neil. I was struggling to put this collage together, not handling the photo management program very well right now, and I wish I could have arranged this more nicely, but that's how it came out. And yep, that lower left-hand corner is first fire. All right, very good. Thank you.
So was the oil on the inside of the engine in the cylinder, or was it outside and burning off of like exhaust manifolds and things?
Well, what happened was, there's always unless you open the engine up completely and wash everything out, you're always going to have a few ounces of oil in some nooks and crannies somewhere inside the block, right? So that's what happened. I had drained out the oil completely, except some residual oil just kind of clinging to the walls of the inner case of the engine. So I had it rotated on one side for several weeks because I had done a lot of work on the exhaust cam and the lifters, and actually broke some exhaust manifold bolts and spent a good week drilling them out and retapping them and threading them and stuff. So that, I think it was when that couple of weeks there, I had the engine sitting on its side, is where, and it doesn't take very much oil to do this. I would say like a quarter ounce of oil in each cylinder or less could cause that much smoke. We're talking about teaspoons.
Particularly harmless, although it looks terrible, but at least it burns off pretty quick. Yeah, I mean, it's not that unusual. Anything that gets in the engine. I mean, some processes. I've tried using what's that stuff that you drop in the cylinders and put it into the oil, and basically it's an engine cleaner. It's supposed to clean out the gunk, and so lots of cleaning processes. You basically have to run something through the engine, and the engine smokes like crazy while it's getting its way through the system and burning off.
It was a proud moment just to see it fire up. I knew what was going on. I wasn't frightened or concerned that there was a problem with the engine or the rings leaking oil or anything. I just suspected some residual oil found its way into the combustion chamber, and it would take a few minutes to burn off, and that's exactly what happened. But yeah, good stuff. Lots of other stories I could share with you offline, Joel, about tools that I had to make and different aspects of the journey in 6EMF. All right, so it's 9:45. Let's see, Carol, did you want to send a photo?
Affirmative, PD 120.
My goodness. Yeah, I was able to copy a black and white photo with a flag, be an American flag with a Swiss flag, maybe. I don't recognize the flag, but superimposed on one another. I'm going to have a little fun and maybe turn it over to Anders, K3REH, to see if Anders was able to copy the photo, but I did, and it came out pretty good.
I certainly have a good copy, and I appreciate turning it over to me, because it's a flag that I very closely remember. It's right next door to my country of birth. It's Denmark's flag. And it says at the bottom there, Virgin Islands Transfer Centennial. So and there's some form of parade here going on with the Danish flag, I assume, up in the top right corner, and then a whole bunch of what I would assume is some kind of military personnel, maybe Marines, having a little stand-up there in opposing sides of a open area. So, yeah, curious to see what this is. K3REH, back to net.
All right, I had a hunch that might pique your interest, so thank you for that, Anders. Appreciate that. And let me turn it over to Joel, AI6DG.
Well, the picture kind of states it. I mean, it looks like there was a transfer to the U.S. of the Virgin Islands 100 years ago. I'm trying to remember my history, and I don't remember anything like that. But so where did we get the Virgin Islands? Where and when? Well, I guess we got it from Denmark 100 years ago, or from 100 years from whenever this happened, the special event station. Virgin Islands, U.S. Virgin, isn't there? Yeah, there's U.S. Virgin Islands and Virgin Islands, isn't there? Yeah, in the Caribbean. Oh, geez, I'm getting confused. So I look forward to the explanation. Back to net, AI6DG. And I still have a slant, so yeah, I'll get it figured out eventually.
All right, slowly, it's sinking in. We have NP2VI over 100, so something to VI 100 years, right? So, okay. All right, well, let me turn it over to Neil, KL7HQR. Thank you for that, Joel.
Roger, it's KL7HQR. To the net. Very good copy. I won't describe the picture because it's perfectly described by everybody else. I can't read the Virgin Island Transfer Centennial, and we do have the American Virgin Islands and the British Virgin Islands in the Caribbean, and I did not know that we had gotten it from Denmark either. So learning, and after the net tomorrow, we're going to do some research. But before I pass it on back to the net, that reminds me that we should say congratulations, Anders. Looks like Sweden is doing extremely well by winning the group on the, I think, male and female soccer games in the Olympics. So congratulations. So back to net.
All right, well, very good. Thanks for that, Neil. And Carol, I think Carol is up. Carol was the sender of the photo and can tell us all about it, I'm sure. Go right ahead.
Okay, yeah, this is KP4MD, and the thing that inspired me to look up this picture among my photos here was the cruise ship. This is you don't see any cruise ships here in this picture, but this is actually a special events QSL card that I got back in 2017 when Roger and I attended a meeting of the Virgin Islands Amateur Radio Club it was in St. Croix, I believe. And this is, I think this is the, if I'm not mistaken, the harbor there. I'm not sure if it's Christiansted or Charlotte Amalia. But both of those were possessions of Denmark up until 1917. And Denmark, I guess a lot of those countries at the end of the First World War were really hurting economically because of the disastrous effect of that war on Europe at the time. And Denmark decided the United States was interested in purchasing that, and they certainly did purchase those islands. And there was a transfer of ownership over to the United States in 1917. So they had a special event operation there, and these were one of the QSL cards. They handed me one as a souvenir, and I figured that Anders would recognize that flag being one of his neighboring countries there. And yeah, apparently they had this QSL card has a picture of the actual ceremonial commemoration of the transfer 100 years prior. So NP2, by the way, KP2 is the prefix for the United States Virgin Islands, KP2, NP2, and WP2. And if some of you may remember Bruce, Whiskey Papa 2 November, who apparently has moved down to Louisiana a few years ago. He used to get in on these nets here. That's why when I first met him, I was surprised he had a Whiskey 2 Papa prefix. And I said, wow, it's nice to see another Caribbean prefix here. Well, I was thinking that maybe he moved here from the Caribbean, but nope. He just got that as a vanity call because that was the one that he wanted. And the way he had to arrange that was he had to find somebody with a mail drop there and have the license sent there because territorial prefixes outside of the continental United States are only assigned if you actually have a mailing address in those territories, as I'm sure Neil can vouch to. So that's the story behind this. And back to net control. This is KP4MT.
Very good, Carol. Thank you for that. And the Treaty of the Danish West Indies can be found on Wikipedia. $25 million is what the United States paid for that. So interesting facts. Yeah, thanks for the photo, Carol, and learned something this evening. Appreciate that. Any other comments on the photo? It's a wonderful one. Well, all right. One more guy. We have K3REH. Anders, would you like to send a photo this evening?
I am ready for that, and this will be PD 120. K3REH.
All right, very good, Anders. I was able to copy your photo. I see a colorful photo with an array of pixel pops throughout it. It looks, from my perspective, as though there was an interference bar right horizontally right across the middle, but it doesn't line up, or it's not consistent with what we see on YouTube. But anyway, it's a good photo. I see a couple of Cray computer towers in the background, or at least I'm not familiar with Cray, so I don't really know their products, but I know the name and I know something about them, and I see Crays in the background apparently, and young men in the lower right-hand corner of the photo. Can't tell what's in the middle, but I can't wait to hear more about this. I see that there's like a bronze placard attached to the wall of one of the cabinets, so I'll turn it over to Joel for see what he has. Go right ahead, AI6DG.
Hey, good evening. I'm on a different mic, so I probably sound different. So it's a Cray 1 or 2. It's an early one from the way the wiring's done. The plaque, I'm thinking this is in a museum somewhere. So I was thinking this might be Anders in his youth, but maybe not, maybe so, and we'll find out. Those were really hot, crazy, fast computers for their time, and not much so now, but the computers have changed so much that's not saying much. So I think of Crays as the ones where they've got in them and they're being liquid cooled, and this does not look like one of those models. So I don't know if this is an older, very early one or a newer one. So interested in hearing more. And I'm looking at YouTube. What I received was so slanted and broken up, I couldn't really tell what it is. So I think I'm making things worse when I'm playing around. Back to Net AI6DG.
Thank you, Joel. KL7HQR. Neil, were you able to copy the photo?
It's KL7HQR. Yeah, copy very well. And looks like it could be a Cray 3 or Cray 7. The number there is a little confusing, but very good copy on very few artifacts here for me. And there's not much else I can add. It's the young man and two could be one computer, two cabinets with a whitish interconnection there. I don't know if that is just a laundry basket in between the two of them, but it's probably some of the interface and the wiring back there. So, but good copy. I'm looking forward to hearing the clear explanation. Back to that.
All right, Carol, KP4MD. Thanks for that, Neil, by the way. Go right ahead, Carol.
Did you turn it over to me?
Yes, KP4MD. Carol, do you want to comment or add any comments to the photo? Appreciate it.
Yeah, this is KP4MD. I'm sorry if I didn't come back right away because I had a phone call, and I'll call them back later. I'm familiar. I don't know that much about Crays, except I heard about them when they were the cutting-edge supercomputers that they had programmed to play chess and to challenge some of the grandmasters, and I think they were pretty much a good match for the grandmasters back then. It was all the rage back there in the 70s, and very, very impressive to be at the side of one of those historical computers. So back to Net. This is KP4MD.
I would second that. Thank you, Carol. Now we have Anders, K3REH. Go right ahead. Tell us all about it.
So this is a pre-COVID picture of my son in front of the infamous Cray 1 supercomputer. And this is down in Mountain View at the computer History Museum. And the reason I brought this picture forward was that I heard somewhere in the grapevine that they are slowly considering opening up for the public again. So the Computer History Museum is definitely a spot that I would recommend going to if you haven't been there, and take a look at everything they have. They have a lot of stuff. And this particular computer here, the Cray 1, one of the most infamous supercomputers, or really the first real big supercomputer that was made. It's one computer. What you see here is the main part. It's formed like a C, so we're looking into the sea right now, and you're seeing, like Joel said, it was cooled by Freon pipes going through the whole thing, keeping it cool. The wiring is amazing. You can see it that's shoved in there, and it has something in the order of 60 miles of wire in this configuration right here. No single wire is more than about 3 feet, and that's in order to keep the signal traces short enough for the speed. It ran at 80 megahertz, so pretty abysmal compared to today's computers, but an amazing feat back in 1976, I believe, is when this thing came out first. So yeah, just wanted to plug for the Computer History Museum if you haven't been there, and looking forward to go back there at some point. K3REH, back to Net.
I appreciate the story behind that, Anders, and I could tell you that I could still do a lot of great things with this 80 megahertz computer, because my problems are small, and I could probably reduce those to very simple algorithms that could run very quickly on this. So if I just declutter all these apps off my cell phone, I could probably get a lot of work done with this Cray. So I don't know about you, but that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Thanks for that. And great looking boy, and I can't wait for an opportunity to get down there to see this museum myself. Pretty sure they have a Commodore VIC-20 in there, or 64 or something like that, or a TRS-80. I might appreciate seeing one of those again. Any other comments?
You are absolutely correct. They have the whole suite of the home computers, ranging from the ABCs and the Sinclairs all the way up to the PETs and the Commodores and the Amigas, and everything is there, nicely displayed. Sadly, none of those are actually on, so you can't play with them, but at least you can see them and be very nostalgic. And they also have nice exhibitions and showcases for things like the PDP-1, IBM 1401, a huge setup with all the punch cards and everything. So pretty amazing stuff, really cool place to visit, and warmly recommended. K3REH, back to Net.
All right, very good. I'm looking forward to that one. Earlier in my career and as a student, I worked on a DEC PDP-11, and when that was pulled out and decommissioned for, we put in a Spark, a DEC Spark, and I can't remember what it was all about, but anyway, I was sad when we pulled out the PDP-11 because I learned so much on it, you know, and still have fond memories of spending many days working on it. But anyway, any other comments or questions about Cray computers and the Computer Historical Science or History Museum?
KL7HQR. Thanks, Anders. Once more, you bring up a picture that opens a lot of questions, something new to go research and learn from it. Thanks again. Back to Net.
Yeah, I'd agree. Any other comments? Thanks for that, Neil.
Son?
Go ahead, Joel.
Oops, sorry if I doubled on someone. I don't remember a DEC having anything to do with Spark. What's the Spark, Sun?
I'm sorry, I got something confused. You're right. There was a digital machine that we replaced the PDP-11 with, and I can't remember what processor it had, but I do believe it had a Spark 20 in it.
Are you thinking maybe of VAX? VAX?
Yeah, for sure. That was a VAX with a Spark 20, and that was a digital, if I'm remembering accurately. When that was decommissioned, I had moved on to other things by then, so I don't remember accurately.
Well, the VAX line was more or less the replacement, or succeeded the PDP-11 line. Before that, there were other PDPs, PDP-8s. They had a whole bunch of. They had some PDP-10s. I mean, they had a whole full product line of PDPs. Someone mentioned a PDP. I think it was Andrew. Did you say that they have a PDP-1 down at the museum? Because I've got what I think is a PDP-1 sitting in a closet I grabbed from a scrapyard once, and I keep telling myself I should pull it out and look at restoring it and getting it actually running.
That's correct. PDP-1 is what they have, although I don't think you have one in your closet, because that would be a very big closet in that case. Maybe you have a piece of it, but certainly not a whole PDP-1. It's big as a whole walk-in closet. So, yeah, they have a demo setup for the PDP-1, and they have a demo setup for a working setup, and also a working setup for the IBM 1401. Which is a whole room, obviously. So, yeah, they do have that on site.
Well, more reinforcement beads we're pulling out and figuring out what I have. I think it's just a CPU with core RAM and so forth in it, and the front panel up front where you would load the bootloader. So, anyway. And some paper tapes and schematic manuals and I don't know. I need to go through that all sometime. Figure out what's going to happen to it in the future.
Yeah, it was Deck Alpha is what I was referring to when we transitioned from PDP-11 to Deck Alpha back in the mid-90s. So anyway, good memories, and definitely on my bucket list to get down there. So thanks for all the discussion on that. Any other points on the History Museum?
Yeah, KP4MD.
Wrap up the net, and again, I want to express appreciation to Neil for carrying the net for so many weeks, and Carol for keeping it going as you always do, and having it up on YouTube. I want to give a shout out to KL4HR, I think. I can't remember the name, but for all those monitoring us and kind of joining in with the cast on YouTube, sure do appreciate your presence, and thank you very much. So I'm going to motion to close the net. Can I have a second?
Second.
Ask for a second, not a double. But I'll take it as a second. I want to say that appreciate everybody and all the discussion and the questions, Q&A, and the photos. They were all great and had a great time tonight. So let's see. Well, I'd like to say thanks to all who have participated in tonight's SSTV Net. We hope to see you again next Wednesday at 9 o'clock p.m. So the net is officially closed at 10:11 p.m. Pacific time. This is Wilson, November 6th Echo Mike Foxtrot, wishing all of you a good evening. Thank you.